What's up, YouTube? It's time for a review of the new Amon Amarth record, Jomsviking, out last Friday, March 25th. As you can see, in honor of this great band's return, I have grown my beard out to the longest it has ever been, but as of tomorrow, it will be gone. It's getting a little face puby, and quite frankly, I would never hear the end of it from the various women in my life. Look, if you can pull off that bearded metal look, God fucking bless you. I cannot. My hair grows into my fucking neck and not down. The beard comes in all fucking patchy. I just was not destined to look like a fucking metalhead, but that does not mean I cannot review metal records. Viking metal powerhouses, Amon Amarth. Melodic death metal? Well, if you call them melodic death metal, they're certainly one of the biggest in the world. If you call them Viking metal, they're arguably the biggest in the world. This is now their 10th record, the follow-up to Deceiver of the Gods, which in my book was a non-essential release, but still a great Amon Amarth record nonetheless. It had a lot of their signature sounds, full of familiar Viking lyrical themes, triumphant, uber-catchy guitar melodies, and some rhythms that are rooted in death metal and a bit of thrash metal as well. I mean, this band is anything if not reliable, to the point where I feel like anyone watching this review just wants two questions answered. Does it sound like Amon Amarth? And does it meet the standards quality-wise of every record from With Odin on Our Side onwards? The answer, in short, yes, but it's not quite that simple this time around. They went with a concept record for album number 10. And for me personally, some of my favorite Amon Amarth is the vivid and intricate story-type songs, like my introduction to the band was Prediction of Warfare off With Odin on Our Side. And I think that Johan Heg's, the frontman's lyrics being so intelligible and so easy to understand is such an important factor in what makes Amon Amarth who they are and what makes them unique. Because what happens in their music is that the lyrics drive the music instead of the other way around, which is usually the case for metal. And on Jomsviking, this new record, the cohesive storyline is a great asset and, quite frankly, exactly what this band needed to keep things fresh. The first single release from this record and the opening track is entitled First Kill. Now, there are definitely some deviations from the Amon Amarth formula that we will get to down the line, but they are not on this opening track. It is quintessential Amon Amarth. I particularly enjoyed the crystal clear vocals in the chorus from Johan Heg, which creates kind of a catchy refrain lyrically after you've heard the song a few times and can catch on and remember all the lyrics. If you want to go back a couple records, kind of like Live for the Kill off Twilight of the Thunder God, like who doesn't know that refrain, a predator's heart knows no remorse? Like you just know that even though it's a growled vocal, you see them in concert, you can sing it, everybody's singing it, and that's kind of what First Kill has in the chorus. Then there's Wanderer, track 2, which is kind of more run-of-the-mill Amon Amarth. It's just mid-tempo tune. And when I say run-of-the-mill, that does mean that it falls on the negative side of predictable. I kind of found it comparable to that song Hell of Deceiver of the Gods, except this one was more enjoyable to my ears than that tune was. Plus, the outro was pretty badass. You've got this spoken word section and this clean guitar and bass-heavy instrumental part underneath it. The next two tracks, On a Sea of Blood and One Against All, are to my ears, both musically derivative of Surtur Rising. On a Sea of Blood has one of the most memorable guitar melodies in the chorus. One Against All is pretty par for the course, in a positive way this time, except for the gang vocals, which kind of came out of nowhere, which fucking cracked me up, but that's fine. The fact that gang vocals are thrown in should not be a deal breaker. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Sounds like a Hatebreed record in the middle of track 4 of an Amon Amarth record, but it's fine. So now these first 4 tracks have given us pretty much what we expect from Amon Amarth. Moving towards the middle and the latter half of the album, there are 3 key deviations to the Amon Amarth sound that I want to touch on. Raise Your Horns, At Dawn's First Light, and A Dream That Cannot Be. With Raise Your Horns, the 5th track, if you want a real head-banging, crushing mid-tempo riff, look no further than this song. But where the deviation comes is the fist-pumping, beer-drinking, sing-along chorus, which is probably going to throw some people off. I support the sing-along chorus. I think that they are clearly trying to craft a concert anthem Yeah, it may kind of interrupt the story a bit in the middle of the record, but this song is going to be that concert anthem. You can see it after the first listen, the first time you hear the chorus. So, hate all you want, but this track accomplishes what it intends to accomplish, in addition to having a riff that is one of the musical anchors of this album. I think of riffs on Jomsviking, I immediately think of Raise Your Horns, kind of a Mastodon influence on that riff. With that Dawn's First Light, to say that this song's chorus, guitar refrain, and solo borrow heavily from early 80s Iron Maiden is putting it lightly. But to me, I found that little dose of Iron Maiden melody fit seamlessly into the epic Amon Amarth sound. And the thing is that elsewhere, this track is a full-on Amon Amarth ripper, to the point where you almost look at those guitar melodies, those Maiden moments, and you're like, maybe that's kind of more of a break for the listener. And all in all, yeah, the song was a risk, but for me it turned into one of the album highlights. This is a song that was much more colorful for me than when they played it safe on a track like Wanderer. And of course, lastly, we have to talk about A Dream That Cannot Be, the biggest fucking surprise of all. We get guest vocals from none other than Doro. It came out of absolutely nowhere for me. If you've been following up to this point, it's essentially the story's climax. The protagonist's love denies him. Juliet is just not feeling Romeo, and to put it lightly, that does not sit well with Romeo. Doro's appearance on here, while it was surprising, looking back, is really needed to bring this narrative home. And her vocals on here make this not only arguably the most unique song in the Amon Amarth catalog to date, but one of the best. So just like the other two tracks we've discussed, sure, it's a risk, but it worked. And then you have tracks like The Way of Vikings, which, while it may be a bit recycled, it does absolutely zero to stray from the Amon Amarth sound. And what's funny about that track is that's probably a good thing, because it's sandwiched in the track listing between two of the songs we just discussed that are a little bit uncharacteristic. And then, of course, you've got Vengeance Is My Name, 1000 Burning Arrows, and, of course, First Kill, that will all set your Viking metal universe back to normal if everything feels out of whack for you because of these three songs we just discussed. Now, since 2007, when I first came on board the Viking metal ship off the back end of With Odin on Our Side, Amon Amarth has done nothing but just grow and grow ever so steadily, and I think that Jomsviking will be yet another step forward for this band. I don't expect any of the chances that they took musically to derail the album's success whatsoever. If anything, I think that tracks like Raise Your Horns, At Dawn's First Light, and A Dream That Cannot Be will gain them even more exposure, though, quite honestly, what metal fan hasn't listened to fucking Amon Amarth? Anyway, I found Jomsviking to be full of the Amon Amarth I love. I found the risks that they did take to be very rewarding, and I found that the cohesive narrative really enriched the listening experience for a band that really is pretty lyric driven, especially for metal. If they played this record front to back on their upcoming concert tour, I would definitely buy a ticket. Jomsviking gets an 8 out of 10 from me. As always, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, or shoot me a message so we can continue to talk music, and I'll see you guys soon.